very common for other brands, but for Rolex, it's very, very uncommon. I would just love that they've done it on a cooler looking watch.
The dial is kind of in between the flat blue that they're doing on the OP steel, and then like sunburst blue also a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure like the first ones will go for over 100 grand, but I'm not so sure long term. Hello, this is Investment Watches. We have looked at the new Rolex releases at Watches and Wonders, and there's some really cool stuff and maybe some kind of ugly stuff as well. So let's dig into this and let us hear if you agree with our opinions.
So many of you may have known that this year is the 100-year anniversary for the Oyster case for Rolex. So they introduced a 100-year anniversary OP to celebrate that, which comes in, I would say, two-tone with a steel and like 18-karat gold bezel and also the crown. And they put like the 100-year logo on the crown and also on the 6 o'clock. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, overall, I'm not a huge two-tone guy, and also like especially not in a smooth bezel. But I actually like the fact that they're trying to pimp an OP basically here. So I think you've made it hard for yourself when you do a two-tone smooth bezel. But I really like that it's very uncommon Rolex to put something like a 100-year anniversary text on a dial. I'm actually thinking, have they ever done that? It's very common for other brands, but for Rolex, it's very, very uncommon. The way I see that, I think it's actually a really, really cool thing when you don't use things like that too often. I would just love that they've done it on a cooler looking watch. So I do like that this one is also a full gold version, which I think will look much better. But it's not going to be one that I'll be like dreaming of getting in my collection. But I do like some aspects that it's probably going to be a fairly rare watch to have in a collection. But who knows like how limited it will be. But it's cool aspects. But for me, it's a little bit like pimping a not very cool car instead of like you can put some cool rims on it and stuff like that, but it's still not going to be cool. But I would love that if they started with like just even the normal one and did like a special dial color and the 100-year anniversary. I think that would have been an easy win and so much cooler. But I also know kind of that Rolex wants to like up the average price of their watches, which basically means that they want more watches with gold in them. So I understand the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, sure. What do you think, Jesper?
I think if it was me, like if I was going to choose this, I'd probably get rid of the gold bezel, but maybe like I kind of like the gold crown. So if they kept the bezel stainless and maybe made that white gold, and then I actually do like the rhodium dial.
Yeah.
So then maybe I don't know. It throws me off with that smooth gold bezel. That's not my jam.
Yeah,
but
it has a little bit of a Wimbledon style around it, like the rhodium and the green,
and also the Rolex logo is also green as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like the coronet?
Yeah. That.
Where it says Rolex.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
On the dial, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it is kind of like a Wimbledon version of an OP, and I think it definitely is a cool watch. Like I think it's. I'm excited to see because this could be one where they make it super, super limited, and I think that would be what I would do if I was Rolex. Because OPs in general is probably like some of the easiest Rolex to get, but if they made this like every AD got one or two of these in total. I think it could become a collector's item.
And I do think it's going to discontinue within a year as well. After
that would make it arguably cooler. But I think based on your comments, Jonas, I think this is going to be named the Pimbledon. That might be the new name for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Like I think the special thing about this one is it's the classic Rolex Datejust Jubilee dial. If you look at the Rolex watches, like from 10, 20 years ago. A lot of them were sold with Jubilee dial, not like super popular. Normally the motifs and other ones were actually more popular, but it's actually the same print that they've done with the old Jubilee dials. Now in just a way more colorful way and on the OP instead of the Datejust. I think in general I kind of like it. It's I do like that the Rolex becomes a little bit more young and modern. I would not mind having one of those watches. I think it's a cool watch. I don't like. I've never been a fan of the classic Jubilee dials, but I think this one is pretty cool because of its crazy coloring.
Yeah, for me, this one, like I saw how they made the dial was actually they put each letter on top of each other to create that layer of each color, which is very interesting. So it kind of shows the craftsmanship. And yeah, it comes in 30, 31, 36, and 41 as well. So I think this one could become a very, very collectible item. Plus, that they have discontinued the celebration dial. And then so this kind of fills in that gap in terms of like the colorful, more fun dial. Yeah,
for sure. I like the how colorful it is, but I think that if you care about checking what time it is, it's like a skeleton dial more or less. Like it gives me like the skeleton dial vibes a little bit, which is cool, but it's definitely not the most legible in the catalog. And like I'm a big fan of 36 millimeter OPs. So I think that overall that's I'm sure it's gonna be super popular.
Yeah,
I think this one will be one of those that will go significantly over retail. So what the retail on this one will probably be, I don't know, 6,000 or something like that. My guess is in the market is probably going to start 25, 30,000. And I would not recommend people paying that for it. But it's that's probably my guess that where it's going to start. And I think it will go down to like a celebration kind of price. So like 15 kind of. So in general, the trend is if there's new release, it starts higher the first 12 months, 18 months. And then about 18 months in, you kind of know where the real market price on this. And I would imagine this is definitely going to sell over retail, whether it's going to be at a 10 or 15 grand when it's settled in the market. But I think it's definitely a safe buy if you can get it at retail.
For sure, yeah.
Also because it, whether it's for men or women, like this will fit anybody basically.
Especially in terms of like collector standpoint, I do feel like this one is not going to be in a long time of production as well because of how complicated they're trying to make it for the dial. So yeah, could be something to collect.
And just I see like there are 3 often. Like, does it come in?
Yes, 31, 36, and 41.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course, like the 41 is going to be the most expensive in the market. That's typically how it is. So if you look at the others, it's probably 41 is going to be 15 to 20, and the 36 is probably going to be 13, 15,000 kind of range. Would be a good guess on market price on this. So I think you'll probably, if you get it at retail, be double up on value on it.
Let's move on to the ladies' side of watches. So Rolex also introduced the 28 millimeter OP in full yellow gold with this beautiful green dial. With what's special about it is that there's like stone hour markers on the 3, 6, and 9, which I feel like that's definitely an innovative side where like what's Rolex doing apart from like before they would do like a 6 and a 9, but now they're including the diamonds on the 3 as well. Well, not the diamond, the stone. Yes. Yeah, what do you guys think about this one?
I think that's cool. Is it like I can't tell if the dial is it a money green?
I would say it's a money green dial, yeah.
It's cool. I think that's honestly kind of a shame that doesn't come in larger size.
I would definitely rock this. Right?
For sure. Yeah.
I think one thing is that a lot of ladies want Jubilee. And so that's that can be like when I look at these watches, I'm always like, how many buyers are there for something like this? So in our case, it's always like 90% of watch buyers are men. So you take 90% away, then you have 10% left, and then you look at 38 millimeter is a lot of women want 36. absolute minimum 31. So you've just taken 90% of the women away. So now you're down to 1%. And then you need also to have women that don't want it on Jubilee. So you're like in a very, very like niche, but I actually think it's a cool watch, but it's not going to be one that's a huge market for because of those reasons.
Okay, but for me, I feel like being 28 millimeters and full gold actually makes sense in terms of like if it's too big, it's too heavy for women, right? So I think this like is a great piece for women who's looking for a full gold Rolex and don't want something too big and too heavy. Yeah.
What do you think for your fiance? Would she rock something like that?
For sure, but I need to find the cash to buy first. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how much?
I think they're going for around 30,000 retail. Yeah, but I do see this one being. I'm not sure on this one. It could be below a retail or it could be above. What do you think?
I think initially it's going to sell over retail. I think basically all of these watches will probably sell initially over retail.
Yep.
My prediction is like 18 months in that it's going to be slightly over retail. So I think it will be 10% premium, something like that, maybe 20%. I don't think it's going to go under retail because it is a special dial. And historically, everything with a special dial is typically over retail. So I think it's a cool watch, and it will be a fairly popular one to get, but I don't think it's one where you like it's not a pure like investment piece as such.
Yeah. So apart from the 28, Rolex also introduced OP in a precious metal in 34 millimeter as well. Where this is, I really like this one personally because it comes in a rose gold with a blue dial, and again the hour markers on the 3, 6, and 9 is also stone.
Okay.
And yeah, it's very. I think this one will be a great hit, like for sure.
I think that's super cool. I think it's kind of in between the dial is kind of in between the flat blue that they're doing on the OP
OPs,
steel,
yep.
and then like sunburst blue also a little bit. I think that's a really, really good looking watch. And 34, talking about before with what size most women would want to wear.
Yeah.
I think that plays into it really well.
For sure. And I can even see some men wearing it as a unisex watch.
Sure.
If like they have a slightly smaller wrist. I would want it if I can afford it. But again.
I think it's also a watch that could be also men wearing it. Also, again, it's an Oyster that makes it a little bit more masculine and sporty. But there's also a lot of women who want something that's like slightly masculine. And today the whole catalog is basically unisex. So there's no right or wrong on that. But I do see this being fairly popular, a little over retail. I don't think way over retail just because it's still a fairly expensive watch. And it's not a watch that you want to pay, 50 or 60 grand for. Like that's then you have other options. But a pretty good release overall. Special dials is always popular.
In their Datejust lineup, they also introduced a few dial colors, but the one that caught my eye or the most is the green ombre dial. They come in both the 36 and the 41 millimeter. What do you guys think about this one?
I don't think you can go wrong with an ombre. Like I think that looks really, really nice, and also getting it from being only on the Day-Date to then moving on to Datejust, I think this is obviously going to sell a lot. Like this is going to be super popular. Just seeing the mint green, how popular that was. I think it's a beautiful watch. I like it better in the 36 than I like it on the 41.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very popular watch. Datejust are, back in the day, we always said like Datejust are the entry point from Rolex where you had to buy that to get into the other one. But the thing is, like most of these fluted Jubilee Datejust are now selling over retail, even the normal dials. So something like this will probably sell 50% over retail, even more initially, probably double retail initially, and then when the market settles down, like about 50% over retail. So I do predict this watch to be not 20,000 in the market when it's settled, but $17,000 to $20,000 watch. I think if you can get in this watch at 17 or under, I think you're pretty safe. It's a cool watch that will be popular, and probably the most popular Datejust the next few years.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep.
Yeah, they also announced this, the new two-tone green dials. Like they've done similar in the smaller versions, and like nobody really cares about these watches. So let's just move on to the next one.
Now another very interesting, that caught a lot of attention is this new Yacht-Master II. Comes in with a new dial and also new movement, and coming in also in steel and also yellow gold. What do you guys think on this one? Still a thick brick?
I really think the Yacht-Master II, it's not my favorite watch. Like not in the original one or in this one. It's just I'm probably not a big enough guy for this to make sense for me. But I think did they make a new caseback on it also? It's like was that on this one?
No, the new caseback, I think it's on the Daytona.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I don't think this you're not going to see me rocking this one, but I could definitely see I can definitely see a market for it. But whenever we were talking about this yesterday, whenever we've had the Yacht-Masters in, they sell well.
The steel ones, if you have them at the right price, they typically sell within a few weeks. So it's but it's not a watch we sell a lot of anyways, because we don't get them in that often. My hope when I saw this launch is like they made it smaller.
Yes.
Like when I saw it, the first thing I said is, ask like ChatGPT, is the new Yacht-Master still 44 millimeter? And oh yeah, it is. Because I think if they made it in like a 41 millimeter or something like that, it would look cool also with all like fairly complicated dial and stuff like that. If they made that in a smaller format, it didn't have to be like a small watch, but just like somewhere between 40 and 42.
Yeah.
And maybe thinner as well, right?
Yeah, thinner and smaller. Then it could have been a popular watch. But at the same time, I also like I like that Rolex has a broader audience. That I think sometimes people think too much about, is this for me, when you look at launches. And what I look at is also like, is it for someone? And I think if Rolex only makes 40, 41 millimeter and 36 millimeter, that matches like 90% of the audience, that's also kind of boring. So yeah, I don't like also the Deep Sea Challenger, but for, if I was like Shaq size and stuff like that, and also wanted a watch that matches me, then I think it's cool that is an option. It's not for everyone, and it's probably not for the majority of people, but if you are a big guy, want a big looking watch, then this is for you.
And truth be told, none of us have a yacht, so maybe not yet. So maybe that's why it's not for us.
But it's also kind of funny that it's called a Yacht-Master, but this is probably the least audience for yachts.
Yes.
Like it's like if there's one watch that people who have a yacht don't have, it's this one.
This next one is going to be Watch of the Year, in my opinion. The Daytona with a white emerald dial. Now the people are calling it the Albino for the nickname. It's so this one. What makes it special is it's steel with so the outer of the bezel is actually platinum, and also the outer of the caseback is platinum. And this one, the caseback is, as you can see, is like open caseback, similar to how they did it with the white gold version of what's that one called?
The Le Mans and the Platona.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. What do you think?
I've for a long time been a really big fan of the slightly older Daytona, the 116520 with the white dial and the silver subdials. And I hate to say it, but I think that one's going to increase in popularity when this comes out also.
Yep.
I think this is a really, really nice looking watch. No question. This is, this is going to skyrocket as soon as this comes out.
Sure.
Yeah, I both agree and disagree with that, because I think it's such a high retail price for it. I think it's 57,000.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I think in general, if this was a steel watch or maybe with a $20,000 retail, then yes, it would be a great. But at 57,000, I'm not sure.
So this one's white gold?
No, it's that's the crazy thing is that they charge 57,000 for a stainless steel with a few platinum.
Yeah.
Like there's probably like 10 grams of platinum in it.
Wow.
There's probably a little bit more than that, but it's very expensive for what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when I looked at it, I was also thinking like if it comes in next to the steel version, maybe you pay a few thousand, premium for it. Then it's gonna be super popular because I think the market price would probably be like 40, 50,000. But if you start at 57,000, then it's then I'm not so sure. Normally, I'd say all the new Daytonas will sell over retail, and this one will initially, but will it long term? It depends on the production numbers on it, the exclusivity. But I actually have my doubts about this one, just because of that price point. Because if you look at Omega, for example, the white when they did the Speedmaster. Then that sells, 20-30% more than the classic looking one. And I think that would be the same case here. But, and a Panda right now sells, about like a used one, a little bit over 30, a brand new 35, 37, something like that. So I do see this like in the 40s. But is it really, can you, yeah, I'm not sure that I would pay.
So you think this one will be sold under retail in second
Definitely
market?
not initially. Like I'm sure, like the first ones will go for over 100 grand. But I'm not so sure long term. Like again, you can find Platonas that are, cooler, better. Like the old reference is like 90 grand right now. New ones are like 115 with the display case back and stuff like that. Would I rather have one of those than this one? Yeah, 100%. So I think it will sell over retail probably also long term, but it's not going to be a double retail watch just because the starting point is too high.
True. But in terms of rarity, this one could be a rare one because it's an off catalog. So it's not like you can't. Yeah, so this one is a very selective clientele, right? So
yeah. When I saw this one, I didn't even do any research because I thought it was just a new dial. But okay.
And if I understand correctly, the dial here is ceramic, right?
It's like an enamel, but like
enamel,
enamel,
ceramic, coating, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. But it's again, this could also be, but if you look at like last year's, like the Le Mans stuff like that, they were selling, close to this price point, a little bit higher, and the market price were over 200 grand. Will this happen with this one as well? I doubt it. I think initially, yes, but I would not recommend people paying 200,000 for this watch. But I think a market price, if you look long term, 70, 80,000 is probably like a pretty good place to be in at. But we'll see about 18 months from now when the market has flattened out and you kind of like get the real market value of the watch.
So the next one is also off catalog. So it's a Rolex Presidential Day-Date with green aventurine dial. This one's just stunning. The hour marker is also baguette diamonds. So yeah, what do you guys think about this one?
I think it's a cool watch for sure. Like it's going to be popular. One of the things I'm actually a little bit surprised of, if you look at the day-dates in even with the cool color combos, like I really like the olive dials and stuff like that, but they're actually not selling way over retail. So you can find a nice olive dial in the 50-some thousand and stuff like that. And I think this would be pretty similar to that price point. Cool watch. I'm not sure I like it more than what already exists. I think it's kind of competing with the olive dial and the ombre. But I do like it seems on pictures at least slightly brighter, which is a cool thing. So definitely a popular watch, and green dials are always cool, and there's always a demand for that.
I think with the rose gold, like rose gold and green, I think that's just a classic combo also. But you said this is baguette dial?
This is baguette dial plus it's like they introduced a new material called like a Jubilee gold. So it's like a bit in between the gold and the rose gold that they currently have.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
that's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
only coming on this one?
Yes, so far that I know, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and also I imagine the retail on this one would be very
It'd be
high.
very high, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would imagine just if it's baguette. Um,
We get an
yeah,
aventurine at stone dial, I believe.
I don't know if we have the price on this one, but my top of my head, I think the market price on something like this will probably be like 80,000.
least, yeah.
So whether or not MSRP, it would probably be around that, maybe slightly lower, but it's definitely a cool watch and something that will be popular.
It's kind of giving me beach dial vibes a little bit.
True.
Yeah.
Would you wear this to the beach?
Probably not. Probably not where I would use it, but I think it's a good looking watch.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
excited to see that the new alloy in the for the gold. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but that's also like a big thing if they suddenly, coming up with a new metal. Like that's today, I guess you have 5 metals from Rolex.
Right.
Steel, titanium, rose gold, yellow gold,
White gold,
platinum,
and white gold.
white gold. So they have 6 today. Yeah. So a 7th metal in a Rolex is kind of like a big deal. I would imagine they're like testing that out with like one watch to see how the market reacts to that. So it also could mean that this will be it might be actually more expensive than what we expect. If it's like the first of this kind of metal and stuff like that, could end up being very collectible.
So as expected, the Rolex Pepsi GMT, the whole lineup, both steel, white gold, has been discontinued. Also, the Cookie Monster and the OP Celebration dial. And what surprised me was they discontinued the Zero Blue dial Datejust. Yeah. What do you guys think about these discontinued models?
I think overall, like we obviously had a hunch that the Pepsi was going to be discontinued, which I find kind of surprising because it's just been so popular forever.
I think the most weird thing is also there's no
replacement.
There's no replacement for it. So it's like it would make sense if there's a Coke coming or something like that, but there's no replacement for it. That's kind of surprising.
It seems like the catalog is kind of like there's, based on what we've seen now, I think there's maybe a little bit of a mismatch in the catalog because the sports models are so popular, and then now they're introducing more of the like standard, like slightly dressier options, which or maybe they're just gonna give it a year and then launch the Coke next year or something.
Yeah, I'm sure that they found it more better marketing to take it out for a year or two and then bring something new back instead of doing it at the same time. And they can just increase production of the Bruce Wayne and the Batman and Batgirl and stuff like that for a few years. Yeah,
because that red color on the bezel is what the problem is with the production, right? In terms of getting the right color for like the red and the blue. So the news has been saying that they have like there's so much waste when they produce it, like they have to throw quite a few out, and
but of course they can produce it if they want to. It's just a matter of like the bezel itself, you can buy those for like $300. So I don't think that's like they can produce as many of those if they wanted to, but it's just it's a marketing thing, and it makes sense. The Pepsi has come in and out of production over the years. So when it was introduced back last time, they came back with a white gold first. So if we look historically what Rolex have done, it would make sense that they bring in something else like a Coke, and then the first few years you can only get it in white gold. If you look at what they've done before, and then you also get all the ones that want to pay more for it initially, and then you can launch it in steel a few years later. So my prediction would be we will see a new GMT in 1 to 2 years, starting probably with the white gold. And the Coke is what comes to mind as the most common.
I kind of wish that they would do a steel version of the Smurf.
Okay.
I would buy that one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but GMTs always have two colors.
Sure,
So,
but I'm just like looking at it now also with the Cookie Monsters. Like if we were to think about something coming out.
but I think GMT will always be two colors because it needs to represent, you know, that way. But also like with the Cookie Monster going out of production, it's like there's also no replacement to that one. You know, now we've had, you know, 10 years with the Smurf almost, and then, you know, what is that, 6-7 years, whatever it is, with the Cookie Monster, and it goes out of production, but there's no replacement to it.
Yeah.
So, and what is the, like, again, if you look historically, it kind of makes sense that you also went from a Hulk to a Starbucks. So it's like green and green dial, green bezel, to same thing with the, you know, the blue dial Smurf to Cookie Monster.
Yeah.
But there's no telling what the next thing is. Like, where do you go from there?
Sure.
Because none of them have taken the next step from that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be exciting to see if it's just that's end of production for that color line and then do something completely different. That would be my guess, that we will see a white gold Submariner come out, probably launch next year with a new color, or reintroducing the Smurf. Like that could also be a thing.
Yeah.
I think I was mentioning earlier that I would really want to see like a burgundy color. If it could be like a sub white gold with burgundy, I think that's gonna be a hit for sure. At least for me.
Most of these full white gold watches are selling significantly under retail. I know Rolex don't necessarily care about that, but it still makes them harder for them to sell. You know, if a watch, if you know when you walk out of the store, you've lost 15 grand, compared to just buying a brand new in the secondary market. So I think they might also be looking at like, how can we make it more popular? And that could be taking it out of production, could be introducing new colors to it. But it's going to be exciting. I'm sure we'll see a white gold Submariner again next year or the year after. It's just a matter of what I'm hoping, like you mentioned, that it's going to be something new where it's not just a re-edition of something that already exists. Also, like just one comment on the, we also saw a discontinuation of the Meteorite Pepsi,
yes.
and I think that's like super cool watch. Like I really enjoy those. It's a super nice. Like I think the only negative I have is that it's only on Oyster. Like if they did that on Jubilee, it would have been perfect. Like a white gold Jubilee with that one, but I've always said like that watch should be more expensive than it is. Like if you look at the Daytona models, everything else, like Meteorite sells for like 80-90 grand. Like why is this watch selling in the 50s? Does not make any sense. And I think that's going to change now.
I think that's gonna be highly collectible moving forward.
Yeah, I think if you can snap one of those up, even in the 50s, 60s, somewhere like that, I think you're pretty safe in that. This should be, and it already should already have been before it was discontinued, a 70+ K watch. And I'm sure it will be again now. So this is everything for now. We have another video coming in a few days with the new releases from Patek, AP, and Vacheron. Some really cool things, and maybe even cooler than what we've talked about today. So make sure you subscribe and comment if there's anything that you disagree or just thought we were missing in this video. And we'll do a lot more content coming. So looking forward to the next one.